Hello, Solies, and welcome back for another episode of our podcast. This is a really interesting one for me and one that hits home pretty deeply. I want to talk about rejection, and I want to talk about how we feel that in our body and sometimes how we can respond or punish. Maybe it's just me, but if this is something that goes on in your house or something that you recognize, then I would love to just lean into this for a moment and let's just have a little dissection of it. So for those who don't know me, I am married and I have 3 kids. I am a very bubbly ideas woman. I have a real thirst to achieve and do a lot of things in life. I'm very outgoing, clearly very comfortable in front of a camera, very comfortable in a room full of people, extroverted. And then I'm married to an amazing man who is pretty much the polar opposite of me. He is quieter in nature. He is slower to make decisions. He still has the same thirst to achieve and do life. And he has ideas, but he's much, much quieter about it. And he likes to come to his conclusions internally, whereas I like to come to my conclusions externally. And we have 3 children. So we've been together since we were 16 and 17. So 25 years this year, actually. And what are we in 2024? We've had our 25th anniversary from the date that we got together. And we have 3 children. One's almost 15, one's 12, and we've got one that's almost 8. And there is a transition and a shift happening in our house. And this can be a marker of 2 different things, but the way that love is getting shown in our house is changing. And this happens, I believe, in every house that has kids transitioning from being children to teenagers. But what surprised me not is that their behavior that I wasn't so bold to think that it wouldn't happen to us. I think what I was surprised at how much it would hurt. That's what has surprised me. Because I never really got rejected when I came up with ideas of fun things to do with our family. So I am the one who plans the holidays. I'm the one who says, let's do a day trip. I'm the one that's like, who wants a bushwalk, or who wants to go out for lunch, or let's go have hot chocolates and hot dogs at the lake. Like, that's what I'm doing. And I think that was a big mixture of that. I worked from home for the last 15 years in my hairdressing salon. And so I wasn't often away from the house. I raised the kids there. I did the admin for our plumbing company there, and I did my hairdressing work there. So in the spare time, I was really, really wanting to go out. And I love supporting our community, and I love being in and around Bendigo and the areas around us. So as the kids are getting older, and obviously the chemicals in their body are changing, their hormones are changing, who they spend time with is changing, it is becoming apparent that I am not their person anymore. Now, I'm thankful that I still have the little 7-year-old as me being their number one human, and same with my husband. And so he mostly, when I say, let's go do this or let's go for a bike ride, he's still, yeah, let's go, Mum, come on. And we'll get a hot chocolate. He's still keen for the interaction. He's still keen for the connection. And what I'm witnessing with the teenagers that I'm trying to be gracious in, and some days it takes all of my strength, is that when I want to interact or connect with them, they have absolutely no bones about rejecting me and my ideas, and even sometimes mocking them. But the second that they want my affection or attention or my money, they are all over me like a rash. And it's not necessarily conducive to when I can offer it. And it's so heavy, that intensity and that niceness. And I want to respond to it, but I also don't want to validate it that it's just about them. So I'm learning about, I can see that you want to do something, and I can do that. I'm just finishing what I'm doing right now, and then I'm going to be right with you. But it's such a small window of curiosity that they want to connect. So how do we find the balance between handling the emotions and the rejections, as in the things that were always such great ideas that kept your family doing things together, when now they're like, I don't want to do that, that's lame. Or, oh no, Mum, no, I'm just going to do something else instead. Or who wants to come for a drive and we'll get some, we'll stop at this bakery and we'll get them. Nah. How many times as a parent can you keep hearing nah before you just be like, you know what? You're happy to take my money when you want it. And you're happy to take my housework and my washing and my dishes and all of these things. But the one time that I want to hang out with you, it is not met. And it started to become a bit of a thing for me where I kind of became a bit resentful. I was a bit like, yeah, well, you know what? I wanted you yesterday and you weren't there for me. And they were like, oh, well, yesterday I was tired. And I'm like, yeah, well, today I'm tired. So there you go. We're both tired. Everyone in the world is so fucking tired. And I start becoming this kind of like, I don't know, like this martyr. And I'm like, what? Who is that? That's not who I naturally am. And as I started to explore that, I was like, I actually have a real issue with rejection, particularly when the rejection has no hope. So I find at the times where I have to reject or knock my child back, I do always try to offer an alternative time. So it might be, Mum, come and watch a show with me. And I might be like knee deep in cooking sausages that you just genuinely can't leave. And I'll say, I can't do that with you right now, but I will in just a little while. Just let me get this finished first. So I try to, even though I know that I'm giving a knockback, I try to commit to something that will be, afterwards. Because it's so easy to go, no, I'm too busy. Nah, I can't do that right now. But I know and I understand that when I feel rejected, sometimes what I just want is reassurance to know that you will connect with me a little bit more later, and how powerful that is. Even if it's not necessarily always followed through, it was just a thought that maybe they want to, it just doesn't suit them right now. So as I leaned into this philosophy at offering an alternative or offering another time or letting them know exactly what's happening for me right now, it's got me thinking about the small window of opportunity that there is to capture your teenager. And I spoke on the previous episode about touch, keeping up the high fives and keeping up the around the shoulder and the jovial aspect of life and your interactions to keep this softness in it. But what do you do if you just have a kid that doesn't give you anything ever, unless they want your money? Like if you have a kid who never comes out of their bedroom, who feels very disrespectful in everything that they do, who seems so beyond self-centered, that you're like questioning even if your parenting style has contributed to this. Am I raising an asshole? What is going on? They used to be so sweet and loving and I was their number one person and now they treat me like dirt. How do I not take that so personally? And I say this to my children when I've taken a few blows and I can feel myself getting ready to strike. And I've mentioned before that I can go gangster really quick if you push me too far the wrong way. And I'm learning to get better at that. But I also see there's value in advocating for myself as well. And so it can be simply a matter of, coming back to it afterwards. If someone was really rude and really disrespectful and borderline mean to me, I know that in that moment, there is nothing I can say or do or scream or yell that is going to make the situation any better. So sometimes it's that matter of, you know what, I'm just going to leave you for a little bit because I can see you need some space, but I'm going to come back later. And I make sure that I do come back later. And I make sure that I advocate for myself and let them know that I have boundaries on how I would treat them. And I say something simple like, when you treated me like that, it made me feel like shit. However, I'm a big person, so I was able to step away and recognize that you weren't in the mood for me. And then I realized, I'm actually not in the mood for you either. And then I'll often fill it up with, I can be patient with you because I know that you're going through massive changes in your life and your body, but I'll draw the line at some things. Some things will not and never be okay for you to treat me like. And then I might go on to say, and none of my friends would treat me like that, nor would I let them, and nor have I ever, which is why I have such amazing people in my life. And they'll kind of just stand there and blink. And occasionally I can feel them get a bit defensive, like, well, I'm under pressure too, and you came in when there was drama going on the phone. So it's really easy to have excuses for why we lash out at someone. And sometimes they are valid, I get that. But I think just saying out loud and advocating for yourself is really powerful in helping with rejection and helping create a boundary on how you might be treated next time. And then there's the other part of recognizing that the accountability. Did I approach at the wrong time? Did I make sure that what I delivered was done in a concise way, without a lecture, without waffling on for too long? Did I contribute to the way that this situation blew up? And as I've learned through my personal development and all my training and all my well-being strategies, is that when I get rejected, I have the ability to go inwards to reassure myself that the rejection does not mean that you are not loved or not worthy or not significant or not capable. You just had the wrong audience in that moment. And you are perfectly okay with recognizing that you don't need to spiral from that rejection. So when you're sitting in that rejection and you feel like two things, sad, and it can feel really shit when your kids pull away. And there's a grief that can start to roll into your body where you want to hold on so tightly because you remember that chubby little hand and that little body that used to sit on your knee. And you remember you being there first, everything. And then how to get comfortable to know that they will come back in time, and there'll be snippets of them through all the stuff they're going with. And I think part of it too is sitting with our teens and listening without responding, or always having to bring one of our stories in to feel like we do that because we want them to know you're not alone. I've experienced what you've experienced, and there is value in that, absolutely. But when we do it every single time, it means that it's going to create a level of, I just wish they would listen. Or, no, your story isn't like my story because you don't know how I was feeling at the time, or times have changed, and the way communication happens with kids is so wrong, and it's so easy to get it wrong now. And because everything is on a digital platform, it's so easy to be misconstrued and miscommunication to happen in a group environment. And that's the other thing. So much is in a group, their communication. So they can get turned away from the pack really, really easily. And that can create a disconnect in their community, which means when they get home, they might even be sitting in their own sorrow and grief and discomfort. And then when you come in to try and either be really jovial or come up with suggestions and things and you get a backbite, it might just be that you don't know what's going on for them in that moment. And so when we seek to understand instead of seek to respond to our teenagers, we can create these little trusting moments that when you do reach out for connection, you may not get the full, nasty, brunted rejection, and it can feel a little bit lighter, and you can go in within and go, okay, I know this person and I know them to their core and they're just having a bad moment. It is not indicative of the relationship that we have with one another. It's just a moment. So I'll try again at another time. What happens though is when you have 6 months or 2 years of this rejection and you feel so worn out that you're just like, why do I even bother trying? Like, clearly they don't like me. Clearly they're not, leaning on me or with me in any capacity in life. And that can feel really upsetting. That is a really lonely journey. And that's when we need to do the work for ourselves and we expand our circle in a bit of a different direction. Maybe we too lean on our friends and we wait for the organic time that our child does seek us out. And then we must recognize the importance of being in the moment when your child does come to you. Like I said, sometimes they come at the most inappropriate times for connection. And you can have a million things going on and your head's full and you've got all these emails there and another notification comes through on your phone, and this happened to me. And I don't necessarily lift my eyes and look at them when they're speaking to me. And it is so damaging. And now I'm doing so better at making sure I close my screen and look up and go, now, what's going on for you, mate? What's happening? And with that, it means that when they try to tell you the little things, they're testing you to see if you're worthy of the big stuff, the big scary stuff that creates, a reason sometimes for the rejection when we try to reach out, that they've got so much going on in their head that there's a safe space for them to come to you organically at some point and go, oh, there's some drama going on. Oh, God, so-and-so's done this, or so-and-so said this, or I've been rejected from the group. I don't even know what I did. So that way you can be open and loving and take compassion and be in that moment. And sometimes we have to have a few years where we wait for the organic flow back to us because we are their safe space. We are their home. I hope this has given you a little bit of an idea of if this is going on in your house, know that you're not alone. It's happening in all the houses everywhere. You are doing the best you can. Some days that is even better than the day before. Just take those moments, try to live in it while you're in it. When they come to you, try to be open, compassionate, no lecturing, just witness them. Seek to understand where they're at. You don't have to always solve it, and you don't always have to respond. And then we can build these windows of trust that allow for connection to flow organically. I'm doing the best I can. And some days I do it right, and some days I do it wrong, but I make sure that I always turn back up to repair anything I need to repair and be accountable for what I did. It is always an absolute delight to chat with you guys. And I love hearing the feedback that you give. Leave it in the comments, email me, open up. This is wonderful. This is what the world needs, is more authentic conversations about when things are hard and how to make them a bit lighter. So take care, my beautiful soulies, and we will be together again before you know it. And that is all for today, folks. I feel so grateful and blessed to be able to share these stories with you and to bring us together as a community. I'm Gail Wilson, and this is Soul Care's podcast, Naked. You can find further resources at my website, soulcarehealing.com.au. These resources are designed to support you and your family as you experience big emotions through this journey back to empowerment, healing, and self-connection. Don't forget to follow and subscribe so that you can get notifications on the next episode as it lands. Take care and just be kind to yourself.